Thank you for joining this webinar. I'm Baz Kinder, Commercial Director at Wellington and a virtual team member of a Microsoft UK project team. This is part of a wider Apex Alliance Work Smarter webinar series and the first of 4 Microsoft PPM focused webinars. Today, I'll be demonstrating how you can ensure that you're identifying and selecting the right projects based upon strategic alignment, cost, and other resource factors, so that you can move away from running vanity projects or pet projects that add no value. I'll start with a brief overview of the Apex Alliance and Wellington before talking about the importance of strategic alignment and why you should prioritise. I'll then provide an overview of Microsoft PPM before going into a brief demonstration of the portfolio analysis feature. My contact details will be coming up at the end, and I'll be highlighting Future PMO, a one-day event that we have coming up later in the year. The Apex Alliance is a collective of the best-of-breed Microsoft Gold partners: IntelliJ, Preact, TES, and of course Wellington. And together we cover a large part of the Microsoft solution stack. Each one of us are Microsoft Gold certified partners. IntelliJ specialise in Office 365, SharePoint and Nintex. Preact specialise in Dynamics 365. TES have expertise in ERP, specifically Microsoft Dynamics Nav and 365 Business Central. Wellington have expertise in project and portfolio management. And our mission statement is to enable you to make a step change in your PPM maturity, as we've done with a variety of clients. And as you can see from the list that's on the screen right now, we've been working with quite a diverse mix of customers since 2001. We've got a variety of case studies on our website as well, details for which will be coming up at the end. As an organisation, we're not solely focused on the technology. We can help you to define your PPM strategy, to build your capability, and complete delivery of everything from templates to maturity assessments, and of course, a wide array of Microsoft solutions, including Project Online. In addition to the partnerships I've already mentioned, we're also the exclusive partner in the UK, Spain and Ireland for Pure Motto, which is a cutting-edge virtual assistant that helps you to manage your projects, and there are further details on that particular topic on our website. We're also an accredited APM training provider, and actually a number of our own courses, such as the PMO Practitioner, have been accredited by the APM. We're also certified members of the PMO Global Alliance, and last but not least, an accredited G Cloud supplier. Moving on, however, let's discuss the topic at hand, strategic alignment. But firstly, let's have a look at some of the research in this area. Starting off with our very own report, The State of Project Management, the responses highlighted that just over 22% of the respondents believed that their organisations were running too many of the wrong projects. So these could be projects that are possibly pet projects, personal favourites of certain executives, rather than being projects that are widely accepted to be necessary or important. And there's a great quote here from one of the co-founders of LensStore, who states that the biggest downside is not monetary loss, but the cost of time. Time that could be spent on pursuing other opportunities. But as the old saying goes, time is money. So let's have a look at some of the benefits associated with strategic alignment. And there is some great research in this area, so narrowing it down wasn't easy, but let's kick off with a pulse of a professional report from 2014, which stated that high-performing organisations are twice as likely to have high alignment of projects to organisational strategy. And separately, in a report from the Economist Intelligence Unit, 88% of respondents stated that executing strategic initiatives was essential or very important for their organisation's competitiveness in coming years. Lastly, we see a report from PwC which states that strategic alignment leads to higher levels of portfolio performance and increases stakeholder satisfaction. I've shared the links to the reports that I've quoted from on this slide, but again, there's a lot of research in this area, so please do take a look online. But certainly what we're seeing here is that the case for strategic alignment is quite compelling. For now, let's just move on and have a look at Microsoft Project Online. As you can see on screen right now, Microsoft PPM offers a lot more capability than what you would have access to if you were just using Microsoft Project on your desktop. In brief, the Project Web App interface can help ensure that you're identifying and selecting the right projects, and once approved, help ensure that you're managing them in the right way. One thing that we don't recommend is a big bang approach to implementation, so typically we'd suggest a phased rollout that's aligned to your short and longer term objectives, which would help with overall change management and means a smaller investment up front and a shorter payback period. So the key point here really is that you're looking at a phased benefits realization aided by a phased implementation of Project Online. So small steps towards big change. The focus today is of course around ideas capture and ensuring that the proposed projects are strategically aligned, offer some form of cost benefit and make the best use of your resources. Just before I go into the demo, typically within an organization, a project is submitted and often goes straight through to execution. However, today the scenario that I've got set up allows for ideas to be submitted through a SharePoint list or for projects to be formally proposed through the enterprise project type feature. And once they're formally onboarded, we can make use of a portfolio analysis feature to help us to prioritize and optimize the portfolio before allowing them to progress onto the next stage of the defined lifecycle, which can vary from organization to organization. A major benefit of using Microsoft PPM is that this entire process is streamlined centrally, rather than being managed manually across a series of Excel spreadsheets, which, let's be honest, can be very time consuming. So moving on to the demo, but before I do that, and just to set expectations, this is going to be a taste of a portfolio analysis feature, not a deep dive or a comprehensive overview of the entire solution. But if you want to see more, you can either get in touch using the details that are coming up at the end, or simply visit the Wellington PPM YouTube channel to see other videos. So here we are now within Project Web App, the homepage to Project Online. And the reason I know that we're using Project Online is because it states Office 365 there in the top left-hand corner. And I've got access to my other Office 365 apps through that little window that's just popped up. So I'm not going to be talking about the look and feel or about the homepage in detail. Really, the focus of today is showing you how you can actually onboard new ideas or new projects. We're going through to prioritization and the approval of certain portfolios. So step number one, we can submit an idea, or we can actually go straight into launching a brand new proposal. Just to illustrate what that capability looks like, I'm going to go into the first screen, which I already have open in true Blue Peter fashion. This is a project ideas list based on SharePoint. To add a new idea, I would simply click on new and it would open up a little onboarding form for me to complete. In fact, let me just show you what that looks like in this example. Of course, this can be tailored. So whatever information you need to collect, we can collect and push through as appropriate. For now, going back to the main page, you will see that we've already got quite a few project ideas submitted. So that's one way of onboarding projects within the system, or certainly ideas. If you know that a project is going to have to go ahead, it just needs to be prioritized, you can submit what is called a new proposal using an enterprise project type. So out of the box, you don't get any enterprise project types. These are always bespoke to each and every organization, but it's the kind of thing that Wellington as a partner would be able to help you to develop and set up right at the very beginning. On here, we've got a selection of various enterprise project types. And that opens up a project detail page, and just as we saw with the previous form that I opened up in the idea submission, this form is bespoke, so you decide what information you want to collect and how you want to collect it. On the form that we have in front of us right now, we've got two main parts to it. One is project initiation information, so capturing things like name, description, start date, and so forth. On the other side, on the right-hand side, we can see a business case form whereby we're capturing the problem statement, expected benefits, and proposal costs. And once the projects are onboarded, they are then visible here within the project center. And this is something that I'll be covering in greater detail in the next webinar. But for now, however, we're just going to drill down into an existing project that's already in flight so that we can see the level of detail that's been populated in order to enable us to prioritize it in the first place. So let's go into this one here, the Biothermal Ear Warming System project, which is a very catchy name, I'm sure you'll agree. Having clicked into it, we've opened up on the workflow status page, which is not part of a demo today, so I'm going to skip over that. and direct your attention here to this section on the top left-hand corner. So this is where I can see a list of all the pages available for me to complete, one of which is the business case that I demonstrated a few moments ago. Strategic impact is a form that you need to complete to show driver alignment in order to ensure that whatever projects you're proposing are strategically aligned in the first place. And of course, there's the schedule, which is where we'll actually start. So what you're essentially seeing now is the schedule, the work breakdown structure, but here in the browser as opposed to Microsoft Project, the client application. As part of this, what I've had to do is break down my tasks. And this, by the way, could be accommodated by the template, the enterprise project type. So project managers don't necessarily have to start from a blank canvas. We could give them a best practice template upon which to start their projects from. So here I've got to break down all of the tasks. I've also got a variety of resources assigned. The resources can also be cost loaded, so that straight away we can see what sort of resource demand the project's going to place on the resource pool itself, but we can also see the cost impact of that as well. So that's the schedule, and aside from this, as I mentioned earlier, there's a strategic impact form through which the project team itself can actually demonstrate how the project aligns against corporate strategy. And here we can see a breakdown of some of the example drivers that we have. And just for clarification, there are no drivers out of the box. This again is something that's very much bespoke to every organization, and we can help you to set this up. But in this example, we have expanding into new marketing segments, improving customer satisfaction score, and so forth. And against each one of these, we have project impact ratings. So how does a project help the organization meet that strategic objective? Is it to an extreme level, or is it to a low level, or is it simply not applicable at all? What I'll do now is I'll actually head over to the strategy section just to show you how the drivers are set up in the first place, and we'll then step through the process from there. So here we can see the driver library. It's very easy to go in and add brand new drivers. For now, I'm just going to drill down into an existing driver that we have just to show you how we've populated it. So there we have the name, we have description, and then further down, we've also got a breakdown of a project impact statement. So you can see how that information has been populated. It's relatively straightforward. Typically, organizations won't simply want to give each and every driver equal weighting, and different departments might want to apply different weightings against certain drivers, so that when they're prioritizing projects for, let's say, IT, you're taking into account what is important for that particular department. To illustrate this, what I'm going to do is go into the executive consensus driver set, which we've created. So here in this example, we can see that increasing market share in existing markets is very important, whilst reducing expense base is there at the bottom with a very low priority, which might not necessarily reflect real life, but that's what this demo environment here is telling us. And the way in which this prioritization or this weighting has been applied is through a process called pairwise analysis, whereby Project Online guides you through a process of comparing one driver to another so you can determine what's more important or less important. And to ensure that that process has been followed objectively, there's also this consistency ratio, and we can see here, but we've got a very high level consistency in place. Now let's move on to portfolio analysis itself and start looking at the process of prioritizing. So within this screen, we've already got a portfolio that I've created to demonstrate the general concept. There are other options available. So for example, you could create project dependencies, whereby you might have portfolios that have got competing project requests going ahead. And you might state, well, if project A gets selected, then automatically deselect project B. Or you might have programs that are being submitted for review, and you might specify that if the lead project gets approved, then all of the work streams that are associated to it get approved as well. But again, we're keeping it relatively simple. So let's drill down into an existing portfolio that I've created. Here's the page where you would onboard your project portfolio. So a lot of the details have already been filled out, as in project name, description, which driver prioritization we're using. So here we're using the CIO prioritization. I can select which projects I want to bring into the mix. I've also got the ability to apply different cost constraints. We are keeping it relatively simple, and we're simply looking at proposal cost for now. I'm also going to be doing some resource planning as part of this, so I've specified the time frame between which I'm looking at running the portfolio analysis. Again, lots of options available, which we're not going to be going into today. Again, if you are interested in doing that, then please get in touch. For now, let's go in and simply review the priorities. So this is the very first analysis that gets performed. We're simply seeing a list of all the projects in order of priority. This is purely looking at strategic alignment, nothing else at this stage. And for some organizations, this is all they want. They simply want a list of all of their project portfolio prioritized. Other organizations want to take it a step further and analyze based upon cost, which is what we're looking at now. And in fact, what I will do is switch over to the baseline just to make this a bit easier. So here, in order to run every single project we've currently proposed, results in a total number of 13. We get maximum strategic value, but it is going to cost just under $4 million in order to achieve that. So there's a list of all the projects that the system is currently saying I should be running based upon the proposed cost that I have at my disposal. Looking at this out-of-the-box report here, we see strategic alignment. So how important are certain drivers that you've specified within this portfolio versus the proposed costs? So here, for example, we can see a reduced expense base, but it's not very important, but we are massively overspending in that particular area. Whereas up here, expanding into new marketing segments, it's very important, and it could be argued that we are underspending. So I can go in and refine this and play out a number of what-if scenarios. So instead of 3.7 million, let's say we've got 2.7 million. Let's recalculate, and what you will see is a reprioritized list of projects. And essentially what the system is trying to do is trying to get you the biggest bang for your buck. So how many projects can we squeeze in to get you the highest strategic alignment score with the least amount of spend? So here it's pushed out 2 projects, and the number of projects selected has gone down to 11 from 13, and we can see which projects have been pushed down. So from here I could easily go in and force certain projects back in because, well, it could be that it's for compliance reasons, or maybe it's a strategic initiative that just has to be run. So again, you can play out a number of what-if scenarios, and you can compare various scenarios against each other by going into that comparison screen, which I'm not going to do for now. I'm going to go back to the baseline. So again, we're looking at the scenario here whereby the total cost is 3.7 million. We are looking to run 13 projects in total. So that's what we would like to do, but do we have enough resources available? So do we have enough people available or the right level of equipment to run those projects? And the answer to that question is no, we don't. We've only got enough resources available to run 9 of those proposed 13 projects. To understand where the deficit is, we can click through to requirements details. And here along the top, I can see that we've got role deficits between the months of January and October. And at this view here at the bottom, looking at project requirements, I can see a list of the 4 projects that have been unselected, and I can see the time frame in which they need resources that are actually not available. So similarly to the analyze cost function that I looked at earlier, we can do what if. So what if we were to hire more resources? Let's go in and perhaps type in 3. We would like to hire another 3 resources. Press recalculate. Let's see if this number goes up from 9. There it goes. So we can now run 11 projects. And to further help us, we've got this hide resources report. So the system will actually play back to you which projects it's recommending that you run as a result of the additional headcounts. And it's telling us which resources it's recommending, what the start date would be, finish date, as well as what the associated cost would be. So that really concludes the high-level demo of portfolio analysis, demonstrating how you can use Project Online or Project Server to ensure that your projects are strategically aligned, deliver some form of cost benefits, and that they're realistic from a resource perspective as well. If you'd like to learn more, then please get in touch and we can arrange a bespoke demo or an on-site workshop to help you to discover the art of the possible. Or if you'd like to complete a POC, we can also provide you with 90-day trial licenses. And of course, if you want to go the full hog and deploy Project Server or Project Online, we can help with a full-blown implementation, which would consist of consulting, configuration, training, as well as ongoing support. Just before I move on and share my contact details on the screen, you can see a reference to SDPS vouchers, and you're probably wondering what that stands for. Well, that stands for SharePoint Deployment Planning Service Vouchers. And your organization, especially if you're on an enterprise agreement with Microsoft for your licensing, well, then you might have access to SDPS vouchers. In a nutshell, these vouchers can be exchanged for consultancy services in order to complete discovery and design and planning of an implementation of Project Online or Project Server. So if you've investigated and you've discovered that you have got access to STPS vouchers and you want to learn more about how you can benefit from those vouchers, then please get in touch using the details of which are coming up now. So I can be contacted through the phone number that's displayed on the screen right now, or through baz.kinder@wellington.co.uk. And in the first instance, it might actually be better if you do drop me an email. You can also find out more about the Apex Alliance at apexalliance.co.uk. And last but not least, if you're in the PMO space, then do not miss futurepmo.com. So Future PMO is a one-day PMO event with a difference, the theme this year being sci-fi, and trust me, it's going to be worth the wait. The event also features a great lineup of speakers. You can find out more and book tickets at futurepmo.com, so please check that out. Lastly, thank you very much for taking the time to attend this webinar. I hope you found it useful and that it drives change within your organisation.